So I got so far into filming this video and I realised I didn't press record properly. So we're going to start this again. At least I can maybe be a bit more coherent with what I'm saying. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Charlotte and today we're doing a very exciting video. Today I am going to be recommending you guys books based off the Sarah Jane Adventures characters. I've been wanting to do like recommending books kind of videos, or recommending books based off these videos for a while, and obviously like this is a trend on BookTube. We all love doing these videos, and I've been mainly inspired by Megan over on Meg with Books because she does a lot of them. She's done like RuPaul's Drag Race and like Bon Appetit ones. She's who I was inspired by. I was rewatching the Sarah Jane Adventures recently. I was like, I need to do a video where I recommend books based on these characters because it's gonna be great. If you don't know what the Sarah Jane Adventures is, it is a spin-off show from Doctor Who. It was aimed at kids, went from like 2007 to 2011, and I lived and breathed and loved that show as a kid because it was just like right at that perfect time. I was about like 8 to like 12 when it came out, and I just loved it so much, and I still do now, and I just love it and remember it so much. And I've been rewatching it recently and it is just such a good show, and I think so many British kids watched it. Even if they didn't watch Doctor Who, they watched that show, and it's just such a big and important part of our lives, I think. Without further ado,
ready? Always.
obviously, we have to start this video off. The first character that we have to talk about is Miss Sarah Jane Smith.
13 Bannerman Road is where Sarah Jane Smith lives, and it's home to things way beyond your imagination.
So Sarah Jane is just such an amazing character, such an amazing lead character. She, obviously the titular character, when she was younger she travelled with the Doctor, and now as she's like a fully grown middle-aged woman, she is a investigative journalist, mainly investigating and, you know, writing all about the weird stuff, and does obviously investigate aliens and kind of does fight aliens. But in this show she starts doing all this stuff with a load of kids because just through her son and his friends, you know, they all fight aliens together. And because she has a son, and because, you know, she spends a lot of time with her son's friends, she is a very warm, loving character. And at the beginning of the show she does come off of a bit kind of closed off and cold, but she eventually does open up and become such an amazing, warm, loving character who is badass because she fights with aliens with all the sass in the world. At the end of the day, has the biggest heart and is just so loving and just does everything she can for the people she loves. Another thing about Sarah Jane, I feel, is she is very nostalgic for me. I always just remember her in the terms of watching her when I was a kid on Doctor Who, also watching her obviously in the Sarah Jane Adventures when I was a kid. So the books, or the book series that I have picked for Sarah Jane is the Nevermore, or the one, I can never remember the kind of the name of the series, but I think it's the Nevermore books or the Morrigan Crow books. Basically Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. You've got Nevermore and you've got Wonder Smith, they're out now, and then you've got another book, you've got the final book coming out next year. These books follow our main character Morrigan Crow, and she is believed to be cursed because everyone blames all the bad things that happen around them on her, and on her 11th birthday she is basically cursed to die. But when her 11th birthday comes around, this mysterious man called Jupiter North whisks her away to this magical city of Nevermore, where she goes to school there, has to go through these trials to become part of this wondrous society. And the reason why I picked this for Sarah Jane is because of the warm feeling you get when you're reading these books, because these books are I very feel like I'm reading Harry Potter when I'm reading these books, in the best way, because of all the nostalgic and warm kind of feelings. Definitely relate this to Sarah Jane because, as I said, of the nostalgic and warm feelings, because that's what I feel when I watch Sarah Jane or I think of Sarah Jane. Also, I really feel like I see Jupiter North in Sarah Jane, or the other way around, you know, I see Sarah Jane and Jupiter North. Jupiter North, again, he's a bit more bumbling and a bit more like not as serious as Sarah Jane, but at the end of the day they are both these kind of older and kind of parental figures to these kids. They are people who have saved and really helped these kids, and obviously Jupiter's really helped Morrigan. I feel like they are both very similar, but as I said, Sarah Jane's a lot more serious. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I think the main reason why I do pick these books for Sarah Jane is because I get a very warm feeling from both Sarah Jane and the books. Because I've already been talking, because obviously I already filmed a big chunk, and realised I wasn't filming, my throat is hurting. The next character is the character that every young girl when they were watching this fell for, and you know, we still love him, we still would die for him, and that is
a genetically engineered boy genius in the attic,
Luke Smith.
You wanted thrills, Katesh? Well, here they are. Mr. White's sending out a hologram. Right now, everyone on Earth is seeing your meteor coming right to them.
everything he's got.
And you're giving her what she wants. We meet Luke in the first episode, and he has just been genetically engineered, as I said, by this alien race. He's been genetically engineered to be basically the smartest human ever, and he is the smartest human ever. He has like the memory of like 10,000 humans, and he's just so sweet. But because obviously he hadn't had a life before he was created at the age of like 13, he's very naive and he doesn't really understand the world. And it takes a couple of seasons, or like kind of like not the running joke, but the running theme throughout the things is that he doesn't understand a lot of things compared to like his friends. He's honestly the sweetest and most loving and just the cutest character, and he's so nerdy, but we love him. And he's also just very loving and would do anything for the people he loves. And I just want to put a disclaimer out here, that is a very general theme and is just a massive theme throughout every single character that I'm going to be talking about pretty much. I think it's just a general theme for the show that all these characters and just everybody is very loving. So when I was thinking about a book to recommend based off of Luke, I was thinking, oh, I can go for a character that, you know, is very smart, blah, blah, blah. But I decided to go for More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kemmerer. In this book, we follow, one of our characters that we follow is called Rev, and we meet him in a previous book of Bridget Kemmerer's, and we know about Rev is that he's adopted and he has had a very bad past because his biological father was very physically and mentally abusive to him. And you're probably thinking, why do you relate this to Luke Smith? Luke is eventually adopted by Sarah Jane, that he is Sarah Jane's son. Through quite a lot of the show, Luke has a lot of identity crises. He doesn't feel like he fits in a lot because obviously he hasn't had this life. He is human, but he has been created by aliens. As I said, he doesn't feel like he fits in because he's a lot smarter, because he doesn't understand the world as much. And there is an episode where this alien race tries to make the world, or kind of tries to make people think that he does actually have human parents and that Sarah Jane, you know, abducted him, and he does have biological parents when we know he doesn't. It's just an alien race trying to, you know, trick them over and trying to use him as a weapon because he's very smart. A lot of the time throughout the show, he does really question who he is, and he does feel like, oh, I'm not necessarily human and I'm gonna turn out to not be a good person because, you know, I was created by like a bad alien race. And how this relates to Rev is that through a lot of More Than We Can Tell, Rev once again has identity crisis because he feels like he's going to turn out to be a bad person like his father because of genetics, and that he feels like the path he's going down is the path like his father did, and he is a bad person because his father was. And that really, really does trouble him a lot. And he, even when he gets reassurance from people, from his like adopted parents, that he is not a bad person, it still really plagues him. So that's why I feel like I relate these characters, and why I've recommended More Than We Can Tell based of Luke Smith is because of our character Rev. I love both of these characters so much, both Rev and both Luke. I just want to protect them both because they are both really scared of who they are and are both questioning and do have these identity crises. I do love them and I do want to protect them and would do anything for them. Luke Smith is just one of those characters that I've loved in my childhood and I still love now, and that I would die for. I don't know if many people know this, but if the show continued after Elizabeth Sladen's death, Elizabeth Sladen who played Sarah Jane Smith, basically if Elizabeth hadn't passed away, they would have brought in the storyline of Luke being gay and coming out to his mum, and that would have warmed and broken my heart all at the same time. Fans of the show, we both hate that we never got that and that we really would have wanted that, but obviously we understand why. The next character I'm going to be recommending a book off of is Maria Jackson.
That's why we win! Oops.
Great.
I did it! I exploded the headmaster!
So Maria Jackson is the first character that we meet in the first episode, and she moves in across the road from Sarah Jane, and that's how she gets caught up in all this alien stuff. She does end up leaving at the end of season 1 because the actress who played her, Yasmin Page, wanted to focus more on her studies, so she, you know, left the show. Maria had to leave, and she ended up leaving, going to America because her dad got a job in America. Maria is the character that we all kind of stuck with and we all really kind of first started to love and learn about. As I said, a very loving character, but she's fiery, she's passionate, and she will go out her way and she will fight for the people she loves, and she's very badass, and she's just a very powerful character. Therefore I am recommending The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. This book is about 3 girls who kind of create this group called the Nowhere Girls, who kind of band together to get justice for this girl who was raped by one of the popular boys in the town, and she was run out of the town because people didn't want that credibility on their town. So they're fighting for justice for this girl, and they're fighting for justice for all the girls who have felt like they've been shut off and pushed away and being held silent for stuff that's happened against them by, you know, sexist guys. This book is full of badass fighting women who are fighting for justice and fighting for what is good and what is right, and that is Maria. Maria is constantly fighting against these aliens for what is right, for the human race, for the rights of the humans. And if any of her family or friends get in trouble or get into any sort of sticky situation, she is there to fight and to get them back and to make sure that they're okay. She's just so great. We love Maria, and that's why I definitely think I recommend this book, because of the relationships, of the kind of fighting, fierce, doing what's right kind of theme. I think I remember when Maria left the show and I was like very like, oh my god, what the hell was going on? Like, I was really sad. I'm rewatching series 1, I just remember all the times watching series 1 and just falling in love with this show. So the next character is our clown. He's our jokester. He is a Mr. Clyde Langer.
Clyde Langer.
You get away from me!
What? Leave my daughter alone.
What's going on? What did I do? I didn't do anything.
Dad, you keep him away from me.
Ronnie, we're mates.
Keep away from her. You're no friend of my daughter.
But this is mad. We're friends, Ronnie.
You're mad if you think I'd be any friend of yours. I hate you!
Love him so much. Honestly, he's one of the best characters of this show. He's the jokester. He is like the clown of the friends and of just in school in general. But he's also a very emotionally developed and deep character. We do learn a lot about him throughout the show. We learn about his family dynamic and how his dad walked out on him and his mum when he was young. Even though he puts up this front of, you know, being a jokester and a clown, we know that's a front. No, it's not 100%. That is who he is. But he does put that up a lot, because he says to himself when his dad, in an episode where his dad comes back, he has a go at his dad and says, I blamed mum for what you did. I thought that mum did something wrong for you to walk out, and I took it out on her, and I hate you for that. I really hate you for what you did. So we really get a really deep understanding of who Clyde is, and he's a very developed character. At the end, he is jokey, funny, but once again, loving character. He definitely gets a lot of his love and who he really is from his mum. His mum is just such an important part of his life, and he's definitely a mummy's boy, but in like the best way. And the book slash author slash series slash world that I'm going to be talking about or recommending to you based off of Clyde, and it's very cliche and very obvious, is the Percy Jackson series, or just any book written by Rick Riordan. I'm currently reading or listening to The Hammer of Thor, it's just the second book in the Magnus Chase trilogy, and just like reading this or listening to this, it just reminds me of how funny these books are and that how it really relates to Clyde. The humour in these books are so casual and not awkward and just always there, and just it is so funny, and that is what it is with Clyde. But it's not just the humour of these books that I relate to Clyde. It is the deep and developed character and the complex characters. The characters in this book, in this world, and just all the characters written by Rick are very, very diverse. Clyde is a person of colour, and as I said, his family dynamic, it is not like the normal family relationship. And a lot of the characters in this book, a lot of them have parents who are gods and stuff like that. They have been raised by a single parent. They just have a very complex family dynamic, but they're also very diverse characters. There are a huge amount of diverse characters in these books, especially as we get further and further into the world and into Rick's writing. A lot of these characters just remind me of Clyde so much, and when I'm reading these books I just think of Clyde a lot, especially now I've had this video idea in my head for a bit, and I was thinking that Clyde would love these books. I could just see, especially maybe younger Clyde, like teenage Clyde would love these books. In another world they were written for him or written about him. Like they scream Clyde Langer. The next character is the character who took over from Maria, or was introduced into the show after Maria left, and that is Rani Chandra.
Before I go, I now name you Lord Clyde and you Lady Rani.
He's been gonged.
Lady Rani? Yeah, that'll do.
Rani, once again, would die for her parents and would die for people she would love and just would fight for the people she loved, like every other of these characters. But she's very determined, and she wants to be a journalist when she's older, and she's very investigative. That word, you know what it is. She investigates everything. If she wants to find the truth and wants to find the good in something, she will investigate and she'll fight to find it out. And sometimes that is a disadvantage for her, because there was an episode where she does go and investigate by herself this kind of weird happenings, and then she ends up getting possessed. So based off Rani, I'm going to be recommending Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Mainly inspired by Nova, but I'm switching it around a bit, because in this book we follow main character Nova, who is part of this kind of superhero criminal gang, or criminal gang if you want to call them that, called the Anarchists. And Nova wants to get revenge on her parents' death, who she felt the Renegades didn't help them out, because they were meant to help out everybody in trouble. That, you know, they're that kind of superhero bat fighting group, and they're meant to help people when they're in trouble, but she felt like they failed her parents when her parents were killed. So she infiltrates the Renegades to, you know, get justice for her parents' death. Opposite way round, I feel like that is very much Rani. Rani, instead of infiltrating the good gang, she would be part of the good gang infiltrating a bad gang to get justice and to get information. I could definitely feel like that is Rani. Both Nova and Rani are very passionate and very like, I don't take crap from nobody sort of characters. I will fight for what is right. I will do what I want to do if that means getting the good out of people and getting the good out of the situation. I love Rani. I think a lot of people don't like her because they were so used to having Maria and so used to Maria, that when Rani came along, it's like that whole cycle with the Doctor, like, oh, you don't like the Doctor when you first meet them, or a new Doctor comes along. And it does low-key annoy me when people never really gave her a chance and really kind of just didn't like her just because she's not Maria. I think she's an amazing character. She's just such an important character, and she's just so loving. And Angeli, who played her in real life, is a goddess. She's a goddess. She is the most beautiful human being I've ever seen. Honestly, I love her so much. The next character, honestly, I've been waiting so long to talk about him. I love him so freaking much. Like, I've got past the main characters now, so you're probably thinking like, who have you got left to talk about? But this character, I didn't realise I love so much until I was on my rewatch, and I didn't realise how much. I think now as I'm older, I've realised I love him a lot. And that is Maria Jackson's father, Alan Jackson.
Alan, where's Maria?
She's at her mates, I think.
You think? This is the end of the world!
It's a power cut, Chrissy. It was on the news, hadn't it? The nights are drawing in. You think it's the end of the world.
I tried to find a clip of like some of my favourite moments from Alan, but I just couldn't find it. When obviously we were younger, or when we were watching this show when we were younger, it was all about Luke. You know, we all had a crush on Luke, and I still do. I love Luke. But now that I'm a 20-year-old woman, young woman, it is all about Alan Jackson. He is Maria's dad, and he was obviously, him and Maria's mum weren't married, but they're now divorced, and now Maria's, you know, moved in across the road from Sarah Jane, living with her dad. Alan Jackson, once again, is a I would die for my daughter sort of character. In an episode where Maria is kind of wiped from time and no one remembers her apart from Alan, he really does fight to get her back and to like get his daughter back, because, you know, that's just who he is, and that's kind of what every father should be anyway. But he is honestly so precious. I would die for Alan Jackson. He's so sassy, honestly, the sassiest character. This one is a far reach. It's not a far reach, but a lot of people, if you haven't read the book, or if you don't know Alan, you're probably thinking, why are you recommending this book? Really think of the book when I'm thinking of Alan, and that is This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. This is a non-fiction book about the NHS. This is a non-fiction book about hospitals and doctors in the UK. And you're probably thinking, Alan's not a doctor, he doesn't work for the NHS. But I think my reason for this is because of who Adam Kay is as a person and how he writes and how he constructs this book. Basically, if you don't know what This Is Going to Hurt is about, it's a non-fiction kind of memoir diary book that basically Adam Kay wrote these secret diary entries while he was a junior doctor in the NHS, and he'd eventually, now that he's not a doctor anymore, he decided to publish them to kind of give an insight into what working in the NHS in the UK is like. He's very comedic throughout, very sarcastic, very sassy, but he's also, at the end of the day, you do see very emotional sides of Adam, and you do see very emotional sides of working, I think, for the NHS, very emotional reasons as to why he quit being a doctor. And I feel like that just sums up Alan a lot, because Alan is very, as I said, very sassy, very humoric. It sounds like I'm saying turmeric. He's very sassy and very funny, and also very emotional and very loving and just very caring. I feel like this is a really weird recommendation. Also, I just feel like I was picturing Adam Kay looking like Alan, which I don't actually know what Adam Kay looks like. So yeah, I'm recommending this book, even though it's a bit of a far reach. It's me, what do we expect? So that is it for all my book recommendations based off of Sarah Jane Adventures characters. I had a lot of fun filming this, and I cannot wait to edit it to put all the clips in, because obviously you've seen the clips, but I haven't actually edited it in. And I'm gonna have a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I love this show a lot, and I'm still rewatching it. Like, I've been slowly rewatching it because I want to savor it. I'm on season 4 at the moment, and because I've just had a bit of a break from it because I've had stuff going on in my life, I need to get back into rewatching it. I love this show, and it's a major important part of my life, and I will forever love it. If you are one of those people who grew up watching the show, I want to talk. We need to talk about this show. Let me know in the comments below. It is iconic. And if you haven't watched it, I don't know if it was ever viewed or ever put out outside of the UK. I actually don't know. If it was and you did watch it, but if you don't, and if you don't know what the show is, I highly encourage you to watch it. It is, honestly, it is so funny, it's so great. It basically is a kid's version of Doctor Who. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did as well. If you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe. All my social media links are in the description below, and I will see you all in my next video.
I've seen amazing things out there in space. But strange things can happen wherever you are. I have learned that life on Earth can be an adventure too. Oh, look! In all the universe, I never expected to find a family.